In my last video, I explained the origins of my current home network setup. In that video, I explained that my home network actually has its origins all the way back in 2019. We also discovered in that video, because my equipment is quite a bit old, the current gateway or router, which is the Unified Security Gateway or USG, is actually no longer supported by Ubiquiti. Ubiquiti is actually the company that makes the Unifi devices. If you're curious how to determine if your Unifi device is still supported by Ubiquiti, make sure to go back and check out that video. It's definitely worth a watch. Now, before I moved into my current place, I actually upgraded all of my equipment. Now, the crazy thing is I haven't actually installed any of it yet. It's still all in the boxes. Now, those boxes have actually been opened, so when we're unboxing all of this stuff in these upcoming videos, it's actually going to not be the first time I've opened them, but I'm still going to be opening up that box and showing you what you get inside to give you that full experience, as well as talk about the devices themselves and how to set those up. You know, this is actually going to be a huge upgrade. The current upgraded gateway that I obtained, or when I say gateway again, I mean router, is going to be the Unified Cloud Gateway Max, or UCG-Max. This is one of the top of the line SOHO devices that Ubiquiti offers. And when I say SOHO, I mean single office or small office, home office users. Now, keep in mind this can be used for different scales, but we're not going to get into that. We're just going to go with SOHO. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is B from Tate Talk Tech, and today I'm going to unbox and set up my Unified Cloud Gateway Max. So stick around. I have a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like it, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give this video a like if you like it. Let me know what you liked, didn't like, or if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or emotional outbursts down in the comments below. Lastly, make sure to stick around all the way to the end to get the most out of this video. Let's do this thing. All right, so let's go ahead and start off by actually talking about the physical device itself. So this again is the Unified Cloud Gateway Max, or UCG-Max. Just to kind of give you some of the sizing, the dimensions of it, it is 141.8 by 127.6 by 30 millimeters, or 5.6 inches by 5 inches by 1.2 inches. It weighs 1.1 pounds, and its enclosure material is polycarbonate, so it's basically like a plastic. And the current hardware that's built into this device is going to be a quad-core ARM Cortex-A53 at 1.5 gigahertz. It's going to come with 3 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. Now, you're looking at this onboard storage. This will vary depending on which version you purchase, because this one does allow you to have an NVMe SSD on board, and that's going to be for your, Unified cameras, anything else that you want to store locally. I'm going to primarily use it currently for actually just storing, network log data, backups, and stuff like that. Eventually, once I get more devices, specifically, I do plan on getting a Unifi camera, doorbell camera, so I can actually have that outside of my place in the future. So, all right, so the one I got, I think, only comes with 128 gigabytes of storage. I believe the highest end one you can get is 512. If you don't buy it with this storage, it will not come with the little slot that comes in, and we'll talk more about that once we actually get to it. Now, its management interfaces are going to be either through, you got Ethernet and Bluetooth. Networking interface, it's got 4 2.5 gigabyte RJ45 ports, and it's got one 2.5 RJ45 port for the WAN. So you got 4 LANs and 1 WAN. Now, its IDS and IPS throughput is going to be 1.5 gigabits per second. This is measured with iPerf3 on a DHCP network. Performance may be reduced with PPoE, depending on ISP implementation. And IDS and IPS is intrusion detection and intrusion prevention systems. Now, it's powered over it's going to actually have a charger, but it's going to be charged with a USB-C cable, which is kind of nice just in case you lose the cable. Supported voltage range is 100 to 240 volts AC. Max power consumption is 16.1 watts. It's got a small, just under an inch status display that's going to be on it. The only button that it does have is a factory reset button. Ambient temperatures is going to be, operating temperature is going to be negative 10 to 40 degrees Celsius, which is 14 degrees Fahrenheit to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Ambient operating humidity is 5 to 95% non-condescending. I'm sorry, non-condensing. And then certifications are CE, FCC, IC. And it does have a ton of different features here, just a ton of stuff. I'm going to put this up here so you can kind of see all of it, but some of it is going to include, there's redundant WANs. They're going to be available additional internet failover with LTE backup, internet quality and outage reporting. It's also got application-aware firewall rules, VLANs, subnet-based traffic segmentation, full stateful firewall. Some of its other advanced networking is going to include VPN services, which is a big one, DHCP relay, IGMP proxy, IPv6 ISP support. And so it's got a lot of stuff. And if there's anything that you're specifically wanting me to cover with these devices, please let me know down in the comments below. I'd be really happy to go over that with you in a video if there's enough interest in it. Now it's got the typical Ethernet LEDs, green link activity. Application requirements is it does also offer it does come with Unify OS, and it's going to have the mobile app on Android, and I believe it also has I believe it should also be compatible with iOS. So a lot of cool stuff going on with this thing. I think the other one I had DDR2 memory. It was quite old. The device I got it in 2019, but it was originally from 2014, so it was already 5 years old when I got to it. And then now we're already talking about 10 years old. So the device still works functionally perfectly, but it's just a little out of date. So I'd like something a little bit more recent. So now what we're going to go ahead and do, now that we've actually talked about that device, or what the device, just about it generally, is we're going to go ahead and start unboxing it. Now, this is my first unboxing video ever, so please let me know if you have any suggestions, feedback, or anything like that down in the comments below. I'd be really happy. I don't really know what I'm doing. I just kind of go through the motions as I'm going along. So I really appreciate any feedback that you have for me. So now let me go ahead and change the camera so we can go ahead and get into the desktop here, and we're going to actually unbox this bad boy. All right, and here we are. I actually ordered my Cloud Gateway Max directly from Ubiquiti, so that's what we're seeing here. It came in this nice brown packaging. It's just got like a little serrated edge here that you're gonna rip off, and yeah, it's pretty non-discreet, pretty relatively elegant. Not as elegant as Apple's or anything like that, but it's still pretty nice packaging. So let's go ahead and open this lid up so we can kind of start seeing what's in there. Immediately right off the bat, which is pretty nice to see, is it does have a QR code that's going to lead to information about this device, and it does tell you what it actually leads to right down here. Let's go ahead and continue opening this up. Feel a little bit like a kid on Christmas morning, because when I was a kid, my mom always used to make us like kind of open our presents slowly, share, and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm having memories of. So yeah, we've got the actual device here. We can see it's pretty small. Like this is like Mac Mini size. I know they just updated them, but yeah, this is a really small device. So this is not going to take up a lot of space on your networking shelf, closet, whatever. But see, it comes in this nice little plastic, which is pretty nice to help protect it. I actually haven't taken it out of this. Actually, you know what? No, I haven't. No, because it's still got the serrated amounts on there. I haven't even tested this device yet. So, and I'm sorry, I probably was off screen there. I'm still getting used to this. So any of these shots that are a little off, I do apologize for, but I'm kind of trying to just give you a round of this device. So it's pretty cool, and it's got everything here. Here's that little screen we were just talking about. Here's the ports. There's the USB-C port for power and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and put that aside. Let's see what else is in this box. So it gives us a little itty bitty short networking cable. I don't really usually have a lot of uses for these, but if you're definitely having it in a server, this is definitely going to be helpful. But I won't be having this in a typical server rack, so that's not going to be super helpful for me. But still, it is a very cute, and it feels really nice, really nice Ethernet cable. And I know they have those ones that have light ups and stuff. I don't know if this is one of those or not. But that might be something I look at in the future. Maybe I'll do like a short showing that if that ends up being the case. But yeah, here's their little power brick. Let's get that out of here. There we go. This is our actual power brick. It looks like it actually comes with a cable, which is probably what's in here. So let's go ahead and check that out. It's pretty decently length cable. And yeah, here's the actual cable itself. Here's the cord. You know, and honestly, I really prefer these like this because I know that like now, like they're, you know, especially like with cell phones and look at the way Apple does it. They give you these giant bricks that you plug that giant brick into the wall and it's all unstable as it's plugged in the outlet. I just really hate that. So this is actually nice as far as I'm concerned, you know, for any kind of device, just because those, I just don't like the way they sit. They're always coming unplugged and they're just big and bulky. So this right here has the TATOG stamp of approval as far as like power bricks and stuff like that go. It's a cute little one. It's nice and white. It's probably going to get really dirty as you know you're using it, but you know that's just kind of in the nature of things like this, especially Ubiquiti equipment because it's all white. So let's go ahead and check and make sure there's nothing else in the box we're missing. I don't think so. Oh, it's got a little packet here. I did not see this when I first opened this box up. Let's see what's in the little packet here. Because, you know, one of the things you're seeing now is like if you buy a new iPhone, really you're not getting much as far as documentation goes. You know, the cheaper the Apple device you buy, the less likely you are to get any kind of anything inside the box. Eventually they're just going to throw an iPhone at you and say, get out of here kind of situation. So I'm just trying to open this up, and this is probably a foldout with a lot of, like, probably got information and installation information. I'm sorry, device information and installation information. So, you know, I do like seeing it. I know a lot of times it's not like that much information, but having this stuff in the box is just kind of nice because, you know, like not some people are going to be off the grid. You know, they're not always going to necessarily have access directly to the internet when they're setting these up. So this is something that's good to have just as a backup. You know, especially because you know I think this device was like 300 bucks, somewhere between $200 and $300. I can't remember because I bought the one with 128 gigs of storage in there, and we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. But yeah, that's that. That's the little info book. That's that stuff. So let's go ahead and just kind of get into the actual device itself. So let's get rid of this. I'm just tossing it on the floor for now. Let's bring this stuff back into frame. All right, so let's go ahead and first unwrap this device here. And honestly, one of my favorite things about them, and also Apple too, is just how I could have done this better, is how good looking their devices are. Because I think it's a pretty good looking device. But I look at it, I'm like, dang, that is a sexy device. You know, I like the way it looks. Here are those those four LAN ports, which are labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this right here is going to be your WAN port. This one right here will be your WAN port. These four will be your, this will be your WAN port. This one will be your WAN port. You can usually tell LAN and WAN. I just can't talk today for some reason. But you can always tell the WAN one pretty easily because it is going to have that little blue globe on there. That's going to help you kind of signify that. There's that reset button. This is the USB-C where it's that the charger is actually going to go into, or the power brick is actually going to go into. These are 2.5 gigs. They're going to look just like the regular gigabit ones. They're just going to have, you know, they're going to be configured for 2.5 gig versus the single gig. And one of the things that's kind of a little bit of disappointing about this one is that it does have the switch here, right? The built-in port, LAN ports, but it doesn't support any PoE devices. You know, it would be nice if it supported at least one PoE because this doesn't have an access point in it. So you can't use this for just Wi-Fi. So it would be nice if we could at least power a Wi-Fi access point outside of this device. That would be pretty slick. You know, Ubiquiti, if you're listening out there, I think that's a great thing to be able to include in the future. And they have devices that do include that in them, right? I think it's the Ultra, or there's like a Lite, or I can't remember which one it is, but there's another one that does have it. So, you know, that'd be something that'd be nice in this device. Or maybe, you know, it doesn't have to be all of them, but at least one. Because this is something that, you know, if you have a small network at home, this could literally be it. This could be it right here. Boom, done. Access point. Bada bing, bada boom. You know, you're done, right? So this thing is pretty slick looking. It's pretty basic. But here is the actual tray. I forget how to take it out, but let me see here. Okay, I actually had to pause the recording there for a second so I could actually try to figure out how to get this little thing open. Sorry, I'm getting some stuff off the cable. And they actually have an additional tool here, which I think I just threw back on the floor. So 1 second here. So yeah, they're actually going to have a little tool, which, you know, I wish this was toolless, but it is what it is. They got this little tool here. If we can get this little baggie open, it's going to look like this. I didn't even notice this the first time, so here's an additional thing. And then it looks like it's just going to Go in there like that. It's going to pop that out. Boom. There we go. If I remember correctly, I think these are like Crucial drives. They're probably either Crucial or Kensington drives. I'm not going to pop this open. One, because it's just a pain in the butt. And two, I'd have to see. This might be a proprietary, and which is a bit annoying, but it is what it is. And it says 512 gig on here. Maybe I got that one. I don't remember. So this might be the top of line model. It may also go up to a terabyte. I'm honestly not 100% certain, but this is the one that I got. It looks like, I guess, 512. Maybe I was wrong. But yeah, so that just comes out easy. You slide that tool in there, and to get it back in there, you just, and there you go. All right, so now what I want to go ahead and do is we want to start talking about getting this puppy set up here. So let's go ahead and get this right here unlocked. Let's go ahead and get this plugged in. I've got a thing here on my desk. You can also unwrap this cord as well. There we go. Let's get that, throw that on the floor. I'm going to pick all that crap up later. Let's get this plugged in back here. Take this little bad boy off. These are always funny when they put them on there. I don't know why I laugh at them every time. But this cord feels really nice. Like, just in my hand, it feels good. It feels really good. It feels like one of the better like power cords that I've dealt with. So let me go ahead and get this done. Because I'm not actually adding this to my home network yet. At this time, I'm going to be doing it at a later time, and you're going to see me kind of reaching across here. You might see a little bit of my. I'm trying to keep my face out of this, so it's not like right there, but perfect. There we go. I went ahead and plugged everything in, and let's give it just a minute here to go ahead and start up, because it can take a little while for these devices to start up. Yep, see, there we go. We've got our little Unifi logo. It's probably going to give us some kind of feedback here and say, please wait, or something like that. Yeah, I'm not actually going to be adding it to my network yet. Once I get through all the videos of setting up this network, then I'll go ahead and actually install it. I'm not going to cover actually installing it because, we've talked about setting up each of these devices individually. So let's go ahead and let it do its thing. Again, the first time it can take a little bit of time. And we can see there, now it's doing it's got the little thing underneath. Eventually it should pop up and it should give us an IP address, because that's really what we're looking for here, is we're looking for that IP address, because that IP address is going to allow us to set up this device. And most likely that IP address is going to be 192.168.1.1. That's usually almost universal default IP address that they assign. And it's just taking its time. It's a little loading bar. I'm going to go ahead and just pause this video, and then once it's done, once it gets a little bit closer, we'll go ahead and we'll resume. All right, now that we're familiar with the Unifi Cloud Gateway Max, we need to go ahead and get it connected to our network so we can get it set up. So to do that, let's go ahead and take this guy and we're going to turn it around. We're going to take the Ethernet cable that comes from our modem. The modem is going to be the device that your internet service provider provided you, though you may have your own modem. So we're going to take that Ethernet cable, we're going to place it in this first one. And the reason we're doing this is because we do need internet connection to be able to go ahead and properly set this up. You want to make sure that you're able to have access to all of the features that are available with this device. Now there is an option to connect this with the Unifi app. I'm not covering that in this video. If you do want me to cover that in a future video, please let me know down in the comment section below, and that's something I can consider. All right, so now that we've got the modem Ethernet cable in our first port, we're going to take a Ethernet cable that's connected to a computer on our network, and we're going to go ahead and place that in the second port. Now the reason we need that is because we do need to be able to go ahead and manage it directly through the browser. So now that we've got things physically connected, one thing you're going to notice
if you turn it around, it's still saying, hey, plug in the cable, silly guy. Plug in the cable, silly person. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and, I don't know why it keeps doing that upside down, but yeah, it's saying plug it in. Now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and reboot the modem. Now this may not be the case for you, but every time that I've ever done this, it always ends up having to go through the same steps. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and power cycle your modem. Usually I just unplug it and plug it back in. It'll vary depending on the modem that you're actually using, because some of them have convenient buttons, some of them don't. Just depends on the complexity of the device that you're using. So go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's been properly rebooted and connected. All right, so the amount of time that that's going to take will vary depending on your modem and your internet speed, but this is what it should look like once it's ready for setup. Now, one of the things that I had to do additionally for my particular device, for whatever reason, is I actually, once it got set up and got connected, and I know it was connected to the device, it just said, no internet connected, contact your ISP. So what I did is I just went ahead and unplugged the power cable for this gateway, and then I plugged it back in, and then once it rebooted, it gave me the indication that it was ready to set up. So now that we've got this bad boy physically connected, let's go ahead and actually start setting it up using our web browser. All right, now that we've got the device physically connected to our network, we need to go ahead and get it set up in our browser so that we can go ahead and access it anywhere in the world. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and type in https://, and we're going to type in 192.168.1.1. This should be the default IP address for the device. You can also get that from the little screen on the device itself. Now, you might get one of two things here. I'm getting this because I've set this device up on my network before. I'm just setting it up again. I had to test this to make sure everything worked properly prior to doing it. So you might get this if you had another device set up before like me, but you're probably not. But what you're more likely to get here is a security error. And either way, you'll handle it the same. So we don't need to do this because the network's no longer active. I've gotten that taken care of. So what we need to do here is we need to come here to advanced, and we're going to actually come down here and accept the risk. Even if you're getting that security warning, you'll be just fine. So go ahead and do that. And then you should get this little pretty graphic for the device, looking all fine and stuff. All right, so now that we're here at the main page, this is a pretty easy setup. We're going to go ahead and just give our console a name, whatever you want. I'm just going to leave the default. Now it's either going to have you create a Unifi account or it's going to have you sign in. I already have an account, so I don't need to go through this. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here to sign in. Let me just pause the video so I can get signed in. All right, so I've got myself signed in. What you're looking at here is it's actually prompting me to restore from backup because I've previously, like I said, set this device up on my network. So I don't need to worry about any of that. Now, if you have a backup that you want to use, go for it. You can do that here. I'm not going to be showing that to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and hit here and say continue without backup. So we're going to be setting this up new, and what it's going to do is it's going to start some speed test. Now I advise you not to skip this because what it's essentially doing here is it's allowing the device to gauge what your network speeds are going to be like normally. So the reason it does that is because it wants to be able to go ahead and notify you when they are abnormal. So like I think like I'm probably around 600 something megabytes a second. So what it wants to do is it wants to see, okay, so if he's at 600 megabits a second normally, but the speed goes down to, let's just say 45 megabits a second, which is still actually pretty good. It's going to be like, yo, dude, like, hey, man, like something's going on with your network. Go check it out. So it wants to be able to do that. And if you don't do this, it's going to ask you to manually put them in. So I'm just going to skip this. I'm sorry, I don't skip this. So let's go ahead and hit next. Now that it's complete, we can see I get download 621, upload 23.9. And then, yeah, it's going to go ahead and set up the Unifi OS. This is a pretty quick process for the most part. It says about a minute, so give or take like over a minute, less than a minute. We'll just let it sit here and do its thing. I'm not going to pause the video yet just because it is doing it's already doing its thing, so it shouldn't take too long. And every time that I do this, yeah, see, it comes up right as I finish talking there and stuff. So so yeah, I didn't want to do that. So all right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and go to dashboard. Perfect. And then the first thing that we're gonna do is go to turn this to dark mode because that's the way I prefer it. No issues if you like light mode, nothing wrong with that. I do advise you though to come over here to system log and go to updates. And then it says network is ready to update to 8.6.9. So then here, go ahead and hit update now. And that's going to bring you back to the applications. Come up here and hit update. Perfect. Now it's this part will take a little bit longer than the actual setup process, just because it's going to upgrade the console from one version to another. You definitely want to go ahead and make sure that you have auto updates set up. Now you can, it tells you right here, like even just right on this page, it says auto update. And it allows you to set that. And usually I only set it for like once a week, which is the default, which is fine because I don't need it to check every single day. But you do have a lot of different options. You can do either daily or weekly, and then set it at a specific time and date if you're doing that. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. I'm so excited to be able to just experience all the different possibilities there are with my new Unify gateway. I do plan on doing more videos about setting up different other devices, as I've stated before. So make sure you're subscribed and have hit the bell notifications that you'll know when those drop. Make sure to check out this other video from my channel. I just want to say, remember, mistakes make you better, so keep on making them. And thank you so much for watching my video, and have the greatest of days.